going to go into it now. You're welcome to buy that CD if you want. But the truth is, that was my enough. But when you think about it, don't you think I had opportunities for there to be enough beforehand? To stand in front of a moving car to try and get someone to stop driving off with your son at 8 months old in a piccolo to kill him, which is what they said they were going to do. I was hit by the car 4 times. Don't you think I could have got it beforehand? Don't you think? But that's how stubborn I am. I was that miserable and that stubborn. I was searching for self-esteem, opportunities and ways to grow and be happier since I was 19. And it took until I was 29 to say, enough. What's your enough? When is it going to be your enough? What are you hoping for? A lightning bolt? What? A 5-car pile-up? Heaven forbid. What? Do you want to watch your child be beaten up in front of you? What is going to be your enough? No more drama. No more fighting. No more nonsense. Real communication. Healthy choices. When? Hard question for such a light, beautiful day. I also realized that I was living without fullness. That's living without self-esteem. It's living without fullness. So when you want to journey from 1 to 500, you're going to need a lot, aren't you? I mean, you can't go journeying with nothing in your stomach, nothing in your heart, nothing in your soul. You need stuff, don't you? Absolutely. But if you feel empty, we start to fill ourselves with stuff that feels full for a moment. Some people call those addictions. We can call it many different things. I would call some of it unhealthy attachments, unhealthy friendships, unhealthy memberships, unhealthy commitments. Things that don't actually serve you, but you're hoping you'll feel full and you're hoping it'll feel good for a bit, so you do it. How many of us do it? Just me? Just me. Okay, that's not really the interactive part, but I salute you guys at this table. They were on it right there. Absolutely. So what I realized was that those were all attachments and things I was doing out of need, not want. It was need, it was desperation. So I had to sit down at that point and audit my fullness account, I call it. I needed to do a real audit. So here's what I pretend makes me feel full. Everything I do, everything I've committed to, everyone I'm with, all my relationships, my profession, etc., 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 was a very scary forensic audit. I don't suggest you do it alone. Very scary to come up with a fullness account that's actually mostly empty. Hard thing to do at 29. But I did it. And then I had to figure out how to begin again and give myself permission to begin again. A lot had to change if I was going to find real fullness, but I gave myself permission. Begin again. So you're an optometrist. How do you want to do it that'll serve you? You wanted to speak, you want to talk, you want to educate. How can we do this? That happened by accident, really. In my survival program, after my post-traumatic stress experience, I was invited to speak at this business breakfast and this leaders breakfast and blah, blah, blah. And then suddenly I was a speaker and then I was mentoring people, and someone phoned me the one day and said, what do you charge to mentor? And I was like, wow, I'm mentoring. Who knew? A charge. Don't know what it's worth. Had to figure that out. That was 10 years ago. That was 10 years ago. But that was my enough. Realizing that I was not enough without all the attachments I'd attached to, and that's what I was pretending to feel full with. Being enough without them is a wonderful thing. A lot of people think that this tsunami that's just hit Japan is horrific. I imagine almost all of us do. I was listening on radio today about people who are arguing that it is sadder that whales got shot recently this week than the fact that the tsunami happened. Well, I'm a human rights activist and passionate about that, so I would like to say that is it not possible to live with the security internally that we can be both sad about the whales and sad about the loss of human life simultaneously? Are we not big enough to comprise both emotions simultaneously without having to fight about which one we should be upset about? There's a battle going on somewhere in the ether of insanity that we should either be upset about the whales or the washout in Japan. Interesting. I find humanity so interesting. In deciding to begin again, we have to decide if you want to be better for the things that happen to you, or bitter? Make the decision, because you're only going to be one or the other. Trials will either help you triumph, or they'll bring tragedy to your life and drama. One or the other. It's really up to you. It depends when your enough is enough. And I'll tell you, I read a comment made by the first chief rabbi of Israel. It just so happens to be him. It could have been made by Kafka. I don't really care. I think the comment is absolutely outstanding. And it goes like this. He said, some free men have the spirit of a slave. Some slaves have a spirit full of freedom. He who is true to his inner self is a free man. He who lives his life on the stage of what is good or beautiful in the eyes of other people is a slave. Anyone need to hear that again? Yes, Sherbet. It took an age to learn. There are free men who have the spirit of a slave. Many slaves have a spirit full of freedom. He who is true to his inner self is a free man, while he who lives his life on the stage of what is good or beautiful for others is a slave. What does that mean? If you cannot have the courage to say enough, no more BBM drama, I will have a conversation to resolve this. Enough. I will be rational about what has happened, not emotional and dramatic. Enough. My life is sore enough. I'm not filling it with things that don't actually leave me feeling good afterwards. I will audit my fullness account and see what it's filled with and what should stay and what should go, and live my life according to my passion, independent of the opinion or judgment of others. Who's in for that? Fantastic. We're going to be doing a workshop on the 1st of May. You might want to think about attending then. We'll chat more about that later. But that is about living with self-esteem, because knowledge brings change. That's what happens. Without knowledge, we cannot change. But if we don't apply the knowledge we get, we can't get anywhere, can we? Not really. It's a lot of wishful thinking. So for me, my real growth came when I started to get excited about the dark and not scared of it anymore. How many of you are scared about the dark inside of you? The reasons why you're a bitch sometimes. I mean, none of you are. You're all perfect women. But I have met some women in the history of my life that are occasionally bitchy. But none of you, obviously. Yeah. Not you, you're lovely. Perfect woman. It's wonderful. Such an honor to speak in front of perfect women. So you'll forgive my humility in admitting that occasionally I am a bitch. But I know how to apologize. Do you? Do you know how to phone up the person you messed up with and say, I'm so sorry, I was wrong to behave that way. I'll do my best never to do that again. Please, can you forgive me? Do you know how to say that to your children? Can you say that to your partners? The most important person on the planet to say it to? You have to have a pretty strong relationship for that to never come up and still remain as beautifully vulnerable as one would hope to have in a relationship. Pretty strong. So for me, when I realized that getting rid of all the insecurities and inadequacies and fears is what was going to enable me to be nice more often, I had to start looking at all those things, like everyone else does. I had to start looking at them. And I realized they're actually like pimples. I mean, man, who wants that? It is like, I don't know a woman aged 10 or aged 100 who gets a pimple on the side of her cheek who's happy about it. Do you?